The Final Four is set. Who do we think will come out on top? Lavar Ball has been a polarizing figure in the media as of late. What do we think of him? The NBA regular season is coming to a close. Who clinches the top spots? And Texas Tech baseball has moved up another spot in the rankings. How will they fare this weekend? Find out next. MCTV Sports 101 starts now. Hey there, sports fans, and welcome into MCTV Sports 101. I'm Billy Ingle.
And I'm Kyle Stafford.
Through all the ups, downs, buzzer beaters, and heartbreaks, Gonzaga, South Carolina, Oregon, and North Carolina are the teams that made it to the Final Four. Kyle, which team do you think has the best shot to win the title?
Oh, man, it's kind of a toss-up. I think you have to say the favorite would probably be North Carolina. They've been there before. They were there last year. They know the heartbreak. They actually hit a so-called buzzer beater, I guess, to win against
not
Kentucky.
Only that, I mean, when you look at the coaching, they have the only coach who's ever been to the Final Four and coached in the Final Four.
520 minutes coached in the Final Four. Everybody else is zero combined.
0 minute. I got to feel like, I agree.
They have all the advantages.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the pieces are set. I think this is the year that they could definitely make a good run, and this could be their year. But then I look on to the other side of the table in Gonzaga. Yeah. And, obviously they
Mark Few's time.
They have to get through that South Carolina team, which has been playing really tough. They're on a Cinderella run. But, for South Carolina, for them to take down Gonzaga, I think that would be a huge feat for them. Now, not impossible, but I think improbable.
Yeah, they did beat Duke. I don't think any of us had them beating Duke the way they did.
Yeah, not nearly. And so, I mean, they have already made some shocking upsets. But for this one, I think Gonzaga has really got the size with them.
Yeah. Karnowski's he just takes up space now.
He does. And then they've got the young guy, Zach Collins, another 7-footer coming off the bench who scores well and defends the rim. So I feel like, if South Carolina wants to make something happen here, we all know it's going to come down with Sedarius Thornwell and P.J. Dozier.
Yeah, that's the two best players.
Those are the two best players.
Thornwell's probably been the best player in the tournament.
Yeah, and there's a very heavy argument for that. But, and if these guys want to win, they're going to have to play the best they've ever played to take down Gonzaga.
Yeah.
And for Oregon to win, I mean, Oregon, they've got a lot of pieces ever since Chris Boucher went out with that ACL injury. I mean, a lot of people thought that they would waver away, but, they're a battle-tested team that keeps fighting.
I mean, well, they had the talent. Dylan Brooks is the player of the year in the Pac-12. Tyler Dorsey's been insane in March. They call him Mr. March, and he's proven it. 24.5 points per game, shooting 65% from three.
Leading the team in steals, three-pointers, and points in.
Now he is the only guy on the team making threes. Three-pointer has been kind of a problem for them. They're actually a pretty good three-point shooting team, but they kind of struggled in the tournament. But, they played extremely well against Kansas, but at the same time, Kansas missed a lot of shots, and I think that's the reason they did.
Josh Jackson, what was it, 3 points finished with? So.
Exactly, and Jordan Bell is Mary's 11 points, 13 boards, 8 blocks versus Kansas. He's improved since Boucher went out with that ACL injury. So I like Oregon to upset UNC. I think they have what it takes to beat them because of their shooting. Tyler Dorsey and Dylan Brooks have to show up, and I think if Dylan Brooks has a really big game along with Dorsey, they have a chance. And I think Gonzaga gets in there. I think it's Oregon and Gonzaga.
So real quick, who's your champion?
I'm going to go with Gonzaga. I think Mark Few, he finally got over that hump, getting to the Final Four. I think this is his best team. He's got a good chance to win it, and I think he's going to do it this year. What about you?
I got Gonzaga and UNC, and I think it's all going to come down to coaching in the heat of the battle, so I got UNC taking it all.
All right. Lavar Ball, the father of projected lottery pick Lonzo Ball, has been very outspoken in the media about his son's future. Billy, do you think Lavar's involvement in his son's career helps or hurts Lonzo's future?
Well, I think it's a little bit too early to tell. Now, as of right now, it helps him. As of right now, I think Lonzo Ball is becoming more of a household name than it ever was before his father started making these comments.
Yes.
Now, if you dig deeper into the comments
and
the weight that has been, and what's that old saying? No publicity is bad publicity.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're following along the lines of that.
Bad publicity is just as good as good publicity. So,
exactly.
I mean,
So, now, but the future of his career, that's still yet to be seen. He's not in the NBA yet. We don't know how Lavar's going to act once he gets there. Lavar's making every bit of case to make his son one of the highest draft picks and one of the most visible incoming rookies into the NBA. But once he gets into the NBA, will Lavar shut up?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's a question. It depends which team he goes to. He wants them to go to the Lakers. We've heard those comments. But, there's a point of trying to build your son up and build his brand, and then there's a point of just being stupid.
Yeah.
And right now he's to the point of being stupid. He's calling out Michael Jordan, one of the best players ever. LeBron James, he got into a heated argument calling about LeBron's kids. Talking about how LeBron kind of hinting that LeBron doesn't spend enough time with his kids, which I thought was very disrespectful. He called out his other sons, LaMelo and LaAngelo, their high school coach, for not winning a championship, saying he was the reason they lost. So I don't know. I think it depends. He's going to have to shut up because there's a locker room in the NBA. And Lonzo's going to have to face that locker room. And if LaVar made one of those guys mad, it could be bad. But, yeah, you know, I think right now he's promoting his brand. The Big Baller brand is what LaVar has. I think he's promoting that more than he is his son. And I think that's wrong.
Yeah, I agree with you there. So basically what it all comes down to is whenever he gets to the NBA, whenever you have to talk to these other grown men face to face, talking about their abilities and what are they doing on and off the court, you know, people don't like being told that they don't do their job well.
Well, wait till he plays LeBron or Steph, because his dad's caught out both of them. So.
The end of the NBA regular season is in sight. Some teams are just trying to clinch a spot while others are vying for the top seeds in each conference. Kyle, how do you see the final standings playing out? And what teams do you think could make a run?
Well, I think in the East, it's a kind of a toss-up. I think it's I still think it's a three-way race.
Three-way race. Yeah,
I think Washington is still in the hunt with that third seed, the chance to jump to front. Right now, it's Boston and Cleveland tied atop. You know, in the standings. The way Cleveland has played, I think Boston has a legitimate chance to do it. Isaiah Thomas has been played extremely well. Should be in the MVP conversation, top 3 in my opinion. For what he's done, but. Cleveland has not been impressive for about the past month, and we've heard all the issues with rest and all these things, and you know, maybe the rest is coming back to bite them. I know they've had some injuries, but still.
I mean, just you can look back, you know, the last month of the Cavaliers players, like the enthusiasm, the emotion, the fire. It's not there. And, you know, and you see a little bit of that whenever Kyrie stays into the gym after the Spurs lost the other night. And,
it was like 8 points.
Yeah, 8 points, and you know, stays and does some shoot around, and that's all good and dandy. You know, the cameras were there to see it, and, you know,
he tries
to promote that image that he's trying. But, you know, what it all comes down to is wins. And whenever it gets into the nitty-gritty point of the playoffs, you know, right now it's some interesting percentages that were run by ESPN. The Cavs only have a 63% chance to get the top spot in the East. They've only got a 33% chance to reach the finals. And they've only got a 4% chance to win it.
Can I ask you something real quick? You know, Mark Cuban made that comment a while back about Russell Westbrook, how a superstar has to lead his team to 50 wins, right? The Cavs are only sitting with 47 wins right now. I thought LeBron James is the greatest player in the NBA, and they're not even at 50 wins. 3 teams in the West have 50-plus wins. And yet the king of the NBA, I'm not saying he is one of the best players. I'm not saying that. But they have 2 more All-Stars. They have 3 All-Stars on that team. And they're not even at 50 wins in the Eastern Conference?
You know,
that's not very good.
What really just kind of what stands out to me, it just seems like the regular season just no longer matters to the Cavaliers.
And it doesn't. But I think that's disappointing, and it's sad, and that shows how weak the East is. But you know what? They better start waking up because the East is better this year. The top 4 teams in the East could the other 3 teams, I guess I would say, can challenge them. I think Toronto, Washington, and Boston all have a chance to challenge them.
And to say that, you know, I think we both still think that, you know, Cleveland are the favorites to win. But in that same
if they keep playing like this,
they better hold their breath because if they keep playing like this, Boston, Washington, or Toronto, any 3 of those teams could dethrone them.
And sometimes you just can't snap your fingers and things come back to life. You know, it doesn't always happen.
And watch out for Boston to steal home field advantage throughout the playoffs. And if they have to go play 4 games in Boston,
it's tough.
Now, we know Cleveland can win, but you know what? They're putting themselves in a tight spot.
And real quick, I think we both think Golden State will take the overall seed in the West. I think the seeding is pretty much set except for maybe the 8th seed.
With their comeback last night against San Antonio.
Yeah, that pretty much sealed it.
And then only going to get back Kevin Durant and hopefully get better, I think that they're looking pretty solid.
Yeah, and Golden State's going to have a pretty easy path. And they'll have probably some trouble and maybe play Utah in the second round.
We'll see.
Texas State baseball continues to roll as they moved up to number 2 in the latest polls and are currently on a 10-game winning streak. The Red Raiders have a tough task this weekend as they travel to Norman to take on the 24th-ranked Oklahoma Sooners. Billy, do you think they get it done on the road?
I think they do. You know, we're on this 10-game win streak. We're really rolling hot. The thing is I found some interesting things about Oklahoma, and they're all 5 losses. They've scored less than 3 points. And in
3 runs.
3 runs.
No,
excuse me. Moving from basketball to baseball, and then in all of their wins, they've scored more than 5.
Yeah.
So I think that's the key number. That if you can shut down their bats with the pitching that we have, and which is the strength of our ball club, that if we can hold them anything but under 5, that we're going to win this ball game. Yeah. We're going to win these ball games.
I think Tech has a good chance. I think what we saw against Texas had a really good pitching, and I think it's kind of like Oklahoma has about 1 ace right now. Jake Irving's 5-0 in his 5 starts, 160. 1.16 ERA, so that's pretty impressive. But I dare you to find a better weekend rotation than Texas Tech in the country. It's going to be hard. I'm sure there is one that's close to it.
Of
But our
course.
Texas Tech's top 2 starters, and Stephen Geary, a 105 ERA. His opponents are only hitting 154 against him. Okay, and then you got Davis Martin. He's been better. He struggled a little early on, but he's been rolling. 257. Ryan Shetter on a Sunday, 309 average ERA. So I think Texas Tech, their offense has been on fire the last 10 games.
Exactly.
They haven't faced as great of competition the last 10 games, but the young freshmen, I mean, I tell you, Grant Little has been big. Michael Berglund has been probably one of the hottest hitters on this team. Josh Young hitting in the 2-hole. This team is really set. I think they at least take 2 out of 3. I think it's tough to say they're going to go and sweep in Norman, but I think they take 2 out of 3.
But I agree with that. Like you said, with one of the best rotations we got, and we're throwing them this weekend, we hold them to those under 5 runs, which that's very plausible for our pitching staff. Then I think that we take the series.
Yeah, I do too. Well, that's our show for this week's edition of MCTV Sports 101. Join us next week for the latest big name stories in sports. I'm Kyle Stafford.
And I'm Billy Ingle. Until next time.